Thank you. Yeah, okay, I think we can start. So, my name is Calisto. I work for the ISRIC, the World Information, which it's held in the Netherlands. I'm going to present one of our products, which is the WoSIS, World Soil Information System. This is a picture of all the points that we have, at least last year. This is it's a growing database. So first of all, perhaps in the beginning I can show what is ISRIC and what's our goal. So ISRIC, we deal with world soil information. So the vision is that we can have reliable soil information and knowledge freely available and properly used to address soil and basically environmental products and everything that is needed and could be related to soil. Also, we produce several products. We have several products. Most of our products, and I can say that all the products that we have are freely available. And we also help others, mainly public institutes and governments, also to produce their own soil products. Okay? So our goal is to produce soil information and knowledge and assist others, mainly governments and institutes, to produce their own soil information systems and soil information related products. And then providing multiple examples, assist on education. And one of the missions that we have is long-term preservation of soil information and archiving physical data. So as you can see, we are very, we adopt an open data. We try to use fair principles in data. But that's not always easy. So basically, I just bring this slide here of ISRIC strategy just to show that we have multiple products that we create and we do. But on the basis, we have scientific information, and we have a strong spatial data infrastructure. This infrastructure uses FOSS4G products, open source software, and this is the basis that allows us to create information and to disseminate all this information and manage it. So what is WoSIS? What's this product? So WoSIS is based on a database. Is based on a Postgres database with PostGIS. The aim of WoSIS is exactly to safeguard soil information, okay, and to archive this soil information from different sources and then disseminate this information. We have on the basis, we have a Postgres database, but WoSIS is not just a Postgres database. It's much more than that. It's a set of different APIs, workflows, dashboards, and many other products. Like I said, it's coming from different sources, so collaboration is essential here. And I bring here some slides also to show that the importance of collaboration and most of the problems that we face on this collaboration. And then the goal is to safeguard, but also to provide a reliable open data platform where soil profiles can be downloaded, can be assessed, can be filtered, and can be used. One of the importance also of WoSIS is soil grids. Does anyone here already know what soil grids is? Okay. So without WoSIS, there is no soil grids. Because soil grids is a raster product And that product is based on the point data that we have. And that point data comes from WoSIS. So it's a core, it's one of the core elements of soil grids. Again, WoSIS depends on data sharing. We have multiple data providers, and we thank you for that, because they provide their own data. We don't do soil campaigns. National institutes do soil campaigns, universities, they do soil campaigns, and then they share this information with us, and then we put them in WoSIS. In practice, it's not a very easy process. In practice, we saw that many papers sometimes say that data, I bring this slide as a small provocation, okay? Many times they say that the data is available or is available upon request, and then we ask, okay, can you please share your data? And sometimes there is no response. Other times they send something that is not easy to understand. So this is not an easy process. And sometimes I bring this slide just to aware people that, yeah, please share. There is no problem sharing the data, because many people and many important institutes do share the data, and together we can do many important things with this data. A little bit about the architecture of WoSIS as is of today. So today we have different data providers all over the world, and I can show you the WoSIS database in a minute. And these data providers, they share the data with us. We do the harmonization of the information. We do the harmonization of the information ourselves. It's a tedious job. We have several automatisms to do it. And then we ingest it into the WoSIS, the Postgres database. Once this data is harmonized and is ingested into the database, then we disseminate it. And we disseminate it via multiple dashboards. We have OGC web services, a GraphQL API where we can filter the data. And then we also use what we call the WoSIS internal, which is kind of a bridge into other products that we have. One of the products that is probably more known is soil grids. So the workflow then, this WoSIS database feeds the workflow of soil grids. So each time we have a new release of WoSIS, usually a few months afterwards, we have a new release also of soil grids, because it's one of our internal products. Main components, I tried it to be very simple. Main components, it's a Postgres database with PostGIS. It's the basic. All the logic, and for the ones that have been on the workshop of GraphQL, all the logic goes to the database. The functions, the ETL, the cleaning, everything stays inside the Postgres database using PLP SQL functions. We try to have all the logic as much as possible inside the database. I'll be happy to discuss this further with you if you want. And then we use Map Server to create the OGC web services. On top of it, we also have an API of PostGraphile, GraphQL. So we have these two web services. OGC web services, WMS, WFS. Hopefully, we will have API features in soon. We have also a GraphQL API, which allows you to easily filter the data and access specific data. You can also download the whole WoSIS database. It's also available for download. It's a big database, but you can download it. And then we also use, at ISRIC, we use GeoNetwork and Apache Superset to create dashboards. So visualizations and charts of the data. Everything is on top of our Kubernetes infrastructure. We have our own Kubernetes infrastructure, and everything is on top of it. So all the products are on Kubernetes. So ETL, how does this work? The first step of WoSIS is the ETL, extract, transform, and load. In other words, is the data ingestion and harmonization. Some people call it standardization. I prefer to use the term harmonization. So when we receive data from our data providers, the first thing we need to do is data quality, consistency checks and consistency control. Identify repeated profiles, and sometimes we can have two profiles coming from different providers which are measured on the same time. It's exactly the same measurement. So we need to identify that. It's very tricky because you can have the same profile, but you can also have on the same place multiple measurements over time. And that's not a repeated profile. So it's kind of a tricky job. Harmonize attributes. So for the ones who deal with soil, we have multiple methodologies to analyze, for example, pH. So we need to harmonize all the attributes, analytical methods, like I was mentioning, harmonize units, make sure that the units that are being provided are consistent, because the goal of this database is that if you have two different profiles, once they are ingested into WoSIS, they can be comparable, you know? So, and that's why we need harmonization, otherwise we cannot compare it. And plausibly checks, sometimes we need to have minimum and maximum, so there are lots of checks that are being done. These are just some of basic rules that we have, but can be a very complex task. It's probably the most complex task in the WoSIS workflow. Once we have the ETL done, once data is harmonized, is cleaned, is harmonized, is ingested, then we can do the data dissemination. That's the fun part. For me, this is the most important and also the most interesting part. So we have the web services, which can be accessed over there. We have the GraphQL API. It's also public. ISRIC data catalog. So we have, besides WoSIS, we also have much more data. So we can also access it over there. That's a GeoNetwork, actually, the data.isric.org. We have the dashboards. I'll show the link of the dashboards in the next slides. And like I was mentioning, WoSIS is one of the backbones of soil grids. Soil grids can be accessed over there, soilgrids.org. I invite you to access it. And you can also access WoSIS database via the Soil Grids webpage. Okay, moving further, WoSIS licenses. Actually, me and Niels is the scientific responsible for the WoSIS. We don't like much the fact that we must have these two licenses. One, which is we call it WoSIS latest, which is the public license of WoSIS. Everyone can use it. Everyone can use it for whatever you want. It's freely available. It's downloadable, and that's public. And then we have a restricted license. Why do we have a restricted license? Because not because we want ISRIC, but because many of the data providers tells us this data can be shared only for ISRIC internal products, such as soil grids, or other products that you generate. we don't allow people to download the point data. You can download other data that is built on top of it, like the raster data of soil grids, but not the original point data. So that's why we must have a restricted. The whole WoSIS is a merge of these two values. So currently we have more than 300,000 profiles. 228,000 profiles are public, 116 are restricted. Restricted only for ISRIC products. Of course, soil grids is public, you can use soil grids, and soil grids is made with more than 300,000 profiles. So the public license is public, you can use it, and is provided via different open standards. This is a dashboard that you can use. You can open the ISRIC dashboards, it's there. You can also visualize some nice charts, like this one, for example, was his latest, where they are. So it's mainly here. And what attributes we have, I don't think we can see it there very well. So pH, clay, sand, silt, and many other attributes. All this is public data. The future. Okay, we already have the system in place, but we want to bring more data providers. We want people to collaborate even more. So one of the tasks that I was doing is to make the ETL more robust and reliable. And now the goal is to create a web interface where people can upload, you can upload your own soil data into WoSIS, and you can do the data harmonization yourself. And then, of course, you can submit it, and then, of course, there is a process internally where someone from ISRIC checks if that harmonization was done correctly. So the idea now is to try to make a web platform publicly available to try to bring more people collaborating soil data. In exchange, we need to give something back to the end user. So what do we do? So if you send your data source, can even be 3 or 4 points, can be even a PhD that is doing a thesis. If you have some points, you can send it to us. In exchange, you have a URL link where you can download your own data set and a dashboard link that you can use to share your data, visualize your data, and at least that's what we can also provide. So that's a little bit what I was mentioning. Something that we usually say internally is that WoSIS is always work in progress. Why? Because we are always receiving new data sources from different partners. We are always cleaning that data, harmonizing data. We do have many gaps in the data. And the more data we receive, more gaps we get, of course. So we are always trying to clean and to check these gaps, but sometimes it's not easy because data sets, sometimes there are gaps on the soil properties. They were not measured routinely, so we don't control the way how the measurement was done. So that's why then there's always gaps and errors. But that's our work, basically. We need to continue improving this system. And then ultimately, what we aim is to bring more people collaborating the data and try to have like a web interface in order for you can ingest your own data and assist with that. So that's our goal. I'm just finishing. So these here are some important links, like the scientific paper that was released 2 months ago. We have a latest scientific paper describing the new process of WoSIS. By the way, we just in the 6 months ago, We improved the data model. We have a much more robust data model based on an ISO standard, and all the logic now is inside the database. So our database is now much more robust, and we aim to now to move further with new improvements of WoSIS. FAQ, please read it, everything is there. And how to access. It's there, please use it, feel free to use it, and that's it. Thank you very much, and if there are questions.